Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Saturday. We are one day away from Arsenal returning to Premier League action at Sheffield United. Tomorrow night I shall be making that long trip up to Bramall Lane. Not looking forward to the weather forecast for that one. I think I am going to be freezing. And it's on the final day of the Masters, but at least I get to listen to it on the radio on the way back. I will talk a little bit about the team news at the end of this video, and I'll try tomorrow to do another one looking at sort of the key decisions Arteta's facing. He's facing a few of them, do my predicted 11, things like that, so I'll leave that for tomorrow's video. Today I really wanted to focus on Folarin Balogun and the big news that Arsenal have had a big breakthrough in their contract talks with the young striker, and it is now looking likely he will commit his future to Arsenal and sign a new long-term contract at the club. Now, it hasn't been signed yet, but I'm told it is heading in the right direction, and Arsenal are confident that they will be able to get this deal done now. Obviously, as I said, until he has actually put that contract, that signature on the contract, then it can still all change. But there is a growing belief and a sense of confidence at Arsenal now that they are going to get Balogun signed up to a new contract, and that the work Edu and Mikel Arteta have put into the last few months trying to convince him to stay, convince him that his long-term future would be best served at Arsenal has paid off, and he's going to reject all the offers that he's got from it domestically and abroad. And there's been real interest from Germany. It looked at a time like that's where he would be heading. Several clubs over there in the Bundesliga trying to get that deal done for Balogun. But now it looks like Arsenal are going to get him to sign a new deal. It will be a 4-year contract, so that will run up to 2025. And really positive news for Arsenal at a time when they needed it as well. I think the mood's been pretty low, certainly after the last couple of results. So the news that Balogun is now close to signing a new contract has certainly helped raise the spirits a little bit. Certainly not a lot, but a little bit. And it's good news for Arsenal. We've seen what Balogun can do this season. He's a really talented young striker. He looks like he's got something pretty special about him. Yes, he's very young. We don't know how he's going to progress, how it's going to go on. He might end up not making it at Arsenal. Who knows? But from the signs of what we've seen for his form, certainly for the under-23s this season when he's been fantastic, and when he's made that step to the senior team, he's got a couple of goals in a few appearances. I think 2 in 5 substitute appearances for Arsenal this season. The finishes of his goals have been smart. He's got a lot about him. His link-up play, he's strong. He can play with his back to goal. He's fast, powerful. Really likes driving forward towards the goal. His finishing is excellent as well. Really like the way he linked up with a few players during when he came on in those fleeting senior appearances as well. When you sort of compare him to Edu, yes, he's a little bit, he's further ahead of Balogun in his development. He's made more senior appearances, he's scored more senior goals. But you kind of look at Eddie and he feels a little bit one-dimensional, doesn't he, in terms of what his qualities are. If he's not in and around the penalty area or even the 6-yard box, then he doesn't really feel in the game too much, Eddie. Ball bounces off him a lot. He doesn't look very strong when he's up against big defenders. As I said, he looks a little bit one-dimensional. But when we've seen Balogun, he looks to have more about him than that. He's got a lot more strength. He can use his back, back into defenders, hold the ball up well. We can link up, flick the ball around the corner to runners, and as we've seen, he can finish as well, and he's very good in the air. So really good news for Arsenal. They really wanted to get this one done. Mikel Arteta was the kind of driving force behind it. He arrived pretty late to the situation when he came over, when he came into Arsenal, Arteta. The whole Balogun contract talks have been going on for a while. It looked like he was going to be leaving. Mikel Arteta made sure those talks were revived, and now he will be delighted if this deal now gets done and he does put pen to paper on a new 4-year contract. Like I said, it hasn't been done yet, but it's heading in that direction. There is a confidence at Arsenal now that it will get done. Let me know what you think about that. Are you happy? What should happen with Balogun now? Let me know, as always, in the comments below. Okay, so in terms of that contract, now, so what's going to happen with Balogun? What should Arsenal do with him if, as expected now, he does put pen to paper and sign this new contract? It opens up a few interesting possibilities for Arsenal. Now, he wouldn't have signed, given the interest and given how his agent operates, and his agent is the same agent as Eddie Nketiah, same as Bukayo Saka. He's got that he wouldn't have put pen to paper, he wouldn't have signed if he hadn't been guaranteed a real pathway into the Arsenal first team. And that pathway, a very clear pathway, had been set out and laid out to them about how Arsenal see his future developing. The interesting thing for me is, what is the first stage of that future next season? Does he stay at at Arsenal? Is he going to be a key member of Mikel Arteta's squad next season? Or now they've got him tied down to this long-term contract, is the next stage of his development going to be a season out on loan next season? Now, a lot of you will be thinking, why are we going to send him out on loan? We've just got him. We've spent ages trying to get him to sign a new contract. Why would we send him out on loan? I think you've got to remember how young Balogun is. He hasn't really played any senior football. To suddenly throw him into the first team at Arsenal is a big ask. It doesn't always happen. You look at most of the young players, they always go out on loan. Not all of them. I mean, Bukayo Saka obviously is someone who hasn't, but most of them go out on loan. They get that senior experience and then they come back to a club like Arsenal. Balogun hasn't done that yet. And now he's tied down to a long-term contract. They could afford to let him have a year playing somewhere week in, week out, whether it be in the Championship, lower leagues of lower sections of the Premier League, abroad in Germany, somewhere like that, just to get him that senior experience, get him used to playing week in, week out, regular football. It might be far more beneficial for him than just sitting on the bench and getting the occasional minutes for Arsenal. And let's face it, that's what would happen. If he stays at Arsenal next season, Balogun is not going to be number one. He's not going to be first choice striker. Potentially, he's not going to be second choice striker. So he's not going to get too much game time. And at his age, he needs game time. He can't be playing in the under-23s again. He spent the whole of this season playing in the under-23s pretty much, which is he's just way above that level already. You can see that. So I think personally, if he's not going to play that much at Arsenal next season, which looks pretty likely, then I think personally the best option for Balogun would be to send him out on loan next season and give him a whole full season of regular senior football, and then he comes back to Arsenal still with a long-term contract, ready to hit the ground running and make a big impact. You kind of look at what Arsenal's options for the forwards. We've talked about this before. Obviously, Aubameyang looks like that he's going to be staying. I think we'd all be pretty surprised if Aubameyang goes, even despite his struggles this season. I think we all expect him probably Lacazette to go this season if Arsenal can get a decent deal done for Lacazette. That it's looking like the most likely options that Arsenal will look to move him on. Eddie Nketiah, I think it's pretty much certain to move on now, especially now Balogun has signed his contract. Given that the agent is the agent for both players, I think the agent will know, and it would have been part of the discussions that, look, okay, we're going to move Balogun forward now. We want him to come in. Possibly that means we'll give Eddie a move away and let him play regularly. So I think suddenly you're looking at Eddie and Lacazette certainly leaving this summer, and that just leaves you with Aubameyang, Martinelli, and then potentially Balogun. I still feel like another striker is going to come in this summer, that Arsenal will sign someone, especially if those two head out the door. I don't think you can just go into a season with Aubameyang, Martinelli, and Balogun as your strikers. I think you need another senior forward there as well to share some of the burden with Aubameyang and not place too much pressure on certainly Balogun, who's played virtually no senior football, and Martinelli as well, who when he has played has tended to be on the left-hand side. Now I think we all know that Arsenal are looking to move him eventually into being a centre forward. But so for me, I think my ideal plan for Balogun, and this is just me talking, obviously opinion, like I said, I'm not some expert, I'm just a guy who likes football and likes Arsenal. I think the best thing for Balogun probably next season would be to go out on loan and spend a full season playing at senior football, especially if Arsenal do go out and buy a striker, which I do expect them to do. But as I said, always, please let me know what you think in the comments below. What should Arsenal do with Balogun next season? Do you want to see him play senior football? Do you think he's ready? Do you think or do you think it might harm his development doing that, put a bit too much pressure on such a young player's shoulders, and he should go out on loan perhaps in the Championship abroad or even in the Premier League? Now we know Brentford have had a bid turned down for him fairly recently. Sheffield United as well last summer bid for him, that was turned down. Big changes at Sheffield United, Wilder no longer there, so maybe that interest would have died down. But you kind of look at those clubs as a potential good option. Certainly Brentford I think would be a great option for him if he goes out on loan for a season. Brentford might even be in the Premier League next season. We'll have to wait and see how they end their campaign in the Championship, but they're a very smart side. If Ivan Toney goes, and he could do, someone might bid for Ivan Toney this summer, maybe there's an option there for Balogun to go back to go to Brentford, who have been interested in the past, and play a full season there and get his and sort of cut his teeth, so to speak, ahead of coming back to Arsenal and making an impact on the first team. So lots of interesting ideas about what could happen with Folarin Balogun, but I think the big thing, the thing we can all celebrate, is that it looks like his future is now confirmed to be in at Arsenal for the next 4 years. We just wait now for the official confirmation, which could well come through pretty soon. So good news about that one. Right, let's quickly talk about Thomas Partey, shall we, and his struggles in recent weeks. Maybe not recent weeks. I think it was just really the Slavia Prague game that I think we were all surprised at how difficult a night Thomas Partey had in that one. It certainly raised a few questions. People have been asking him, has he done enough since he's arrived at Arsenal? I've said my piece. I've written a piece actually on Thomas Partey that's going to go live on Goal tomorrow morning ahead of the Sheffield United game, and it's kind of focusing on what the issue is and why perhaps he hasn't quite proved his worth to Arsenal yet. And I think really the answer is pretty simple. It is injuries. They've really disrupted his season. He hasn't really been able to get up any head of steam. You've got to think he's come over in the middle of a pandemic. He's been house hunting. He's only just moved into a house. He hasn't got any family over here yet. It's a difficult time for anyone, even if you're an experienced player coming to England for the first time, especially in the middle of a pandemic. So I think there's lots of reasons why we haven't quite seen the best of Thomas Partey yet, but certainly the injuries have made a big impact. He's just not been able to get going this season. He's always chasing his fitness, and he just hasn't been able to really make that adjustment to the Premier League that we all wanted very, very quickly. And Mikel has been talking about him, and he was asked, how do you assess Thomas's form so far this season? He said, look, it's very difficult to make a real assessment because he has missed 6 months. That is a long time. He's still adapting to our way of playing, which is very different to what he did at Atletico Madrid. He had some big sparks, and we could all see what he can bring to the team. Now it's about finding that consistency level that we need from him and building a team that can play around him because he has that capacity. Which I thought was an interesting last line there. What does he mean there by building a team around him? Is it a little hint that he thinks he needs a different midfield partner to get the best out of Thomas Partey? Who knows? Maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into that line. And then he goes on, he said the biggest difficulty he has had is he's not been fit. Every time he has been fit, he's then missed the next game and was out for a long time physically. He's not been able to prepare to play at the highest level. Obviously, that has had an impact because the Premier League and the demands of how fit you are is so key, especially in his position. If you are able to perform at a level that he can do. Up to this point, he has not had that possibility. Hopefully on Sunday, hopefully on Thursday, you can see the best version of Thomas. Now he has got the sequence of 2 or 3 games. I think you'll see he will finish the season in a really strong way. So nice back in from Mikel Arteta for Thomas Partey there, and Arsenal certainly need him at his best. If Thomas Partey plays well, Arsenal will play well, no doubt about that. And if Arsenal want to make their way through to the semi-finals and rescue themselves after that disappointing first leg against Slavia Prague, then they're going to need Thomas Partey to play very, very well on Thursday night and try and control that midfield, win the ball back, move it to the forwards as quickly as possible and get Arsenal moving. So Thomas Partey, very, very key to that. And I thought it was quite nice words from Mikel Arteta there, speaking about a player who, I think we can all accept maybe hasn't quite hit the heights that we all thought he was going to this season, but there is certainly a lot of mitigating circumstances to that. And as I said earlier, I think the injuries are a massive part of why we haven't quite seen Thomas at his very best. Okay, let's quickly talk about some team news, shall we? Ahead of tomorrow's game, Mikel's certainly got some big decisions to make ahead of that one. I will discuss those a little bit more detail in tomorrow's video, but you think that game against Prague on Thursday night, the importance of it, especially now Arsenal going there only with a 1-1 draw from the first leg, then he is going to want to have everyone as fit and ready and as strong as he possibly can for that one. So I do think we're going to see some rotation for the Sheffield United game on Sunday night. Look, yes, there's still a possibility of Arsenal somehow clawing themselves into the European spot via the Premier League, but I think we all know it's very, very unlikely now. Recent results have not helped them in that regard. They're going to have to finish the season very strongly, pretty much win every single game if they want to get in and around the top 6 now. And I just don't think that's going to happen. Arsenal are too inconsistent to do that. There's been no sign that they can get that sort of consistent run going. So I think we're going to see changes against Sheffield United with the Slavia Prague game in mind. Now, we know there are a lot of players who aren't going to be available anyway. You're looking at Kieran Tierney. Obviously, he's out for 4 to 6 weeks with that knee injury. Still doesn't look like he's going to need surgery, which is a bonus. Him and David Luiz shared some social media clips the other day on their Instagram page of them going through treatment together in the treatment room. So I think those two will be pretty happy that they've got 2 of them together during their rehabilitation process. They're not going to be on their own, because I know it's a very, very lonely place when a footballer has to go through rehab, especially when he's on his own. So Tierney and Luiz, they are both definitely out of Sunday's game with knee injury. We know that. Martin Odegaard looks like he is going to miss as well with the ankle injury he picked up for Norway while on international duty. He did come back, obviously played in that Liverpool game, which I think Mikel Arteta deep down must regret playing in that game now, because the ankle injury has flared up again. Speaking after the 1-1 draw with Slavia Prague on Thursday night, Arteta said it would be he didn't know exactly how long Odegaard was going to be out for, but it looked like he would certainly miss the next 1 or 2 games. So you'd think he is certainly going to be ruled out of Sunday night's match. So I think they're the 3 that are going to be missing through injuries, and then it's the case of what do you do? Does Aubameyang come back into the starting 11? I think he probably will, given he sat out most of the game on Thursday night. I think Aubameyang come back in, lead the line. I think Nicolas Pepe might come back in as well. He certainly warrants a start. I think wouldn't be surprised if we see Bukayo Saka given a little bit of a rest again, and then they're going to have to really wrap Emil Smith-Rowe up in cotton wool, especially with Odegaard's injury. If it ends up being a little bit more serious and he's out for longer than just 1 or 2 games, Arsenal can't afford to have anything go wrong with Emil Smith-Rowe in the next couple of weeks. So I think they might well wrap him up on cotton wool. We might end up seeing someone like Willian, something like that, playing in the number 10 role. But like I said, I will speak about that in more depth tomorrow when I do my pre-match video before I make the journey up to Bramall Lane. Right, that's about it from me today. Thank you for watching. As always, everyone, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your Saturday. No Arsenal to fret about today. No Arsenal to ruin your Saturday by throwing away a lead or doing anything stupid like we've seen in recent weeks. So enjoy that. We'll have to sit through it all tomorrow night. But until then, everyone, have a very good day, and I'll speak to you soon.